When you go to pick out foods for your aquarium, there's a good chance you're probably reaching for a dry food like pellets or flakes. Or you could even be reaching for frozen like those blister pack cubes or even a frozen blend. But what about live foods? When was the last time you thought about the live foods that are available to offer to your aquarium inhabitants? Well, if you haven't thought about that in a while, or if you're new to the idea, then this video is for you, so stick around, I'll be right back. Hi there, Hilary here for Waterlogged on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Like I promised, I'm going to go over a list of the different live foods that are available for you to feed your tank. Now, this is not an all-inclusive list by any means, but it's going to be some of the popular ones and what you would use them to feed. So let's go ahead and get started. First up on my list is Artemia knoplei. Sometimes you hear this called Artemia, you can hear this called knops, brine shrimp, and if you've been around for a while, you might have even heard them called sea monkeys. Whatever you want to call them, it doesn't really matter because the nutrition that they can bring to your reef tank is unmatched. One of the great things about Artemia is that they're live foods, they're going to be moving around, and they are going to be a great source of enrichment for the smaller fish in your tank. Now, not only are some of the smaller fish going to eat them, but your corals will probably eat them as well if they get close enough and land on those corals. Another great benefit of Artemia is that you can gut load them with all sorts of nutrients to help benefit your reef tank. Now, along the same lines of knops are rotifers. Now, rotifers are smaller than knops, and they are going to be another food that you can actually gut load to provide extra nutrition to your reef tank. There are companies like Reef Nutrition that offer rotifers. You can just buy a whole bag of them and use them to feed out. But you can also use rotifers to feed some of your other live foods. So if you have some of those foods and you want to enrich their diets, consider offering them rotifers. Now, another one that you are probably familiar with, this is another product that Reef Nutrition offers, and that is Copapods. I've done a couple videos in the past where I talk about the different Copapods that Reef Nutrition offers. Some of those are going to be the Apex Pods and the Tigger Pods, but that's not the only company out there that makes Copapods. You have a whole bunch of other options, and these are really great for feeding those small fish, especially the ones that are picky eaters like those mandarins that like to cruise along the reef and bite and scoop up all of those tasty little copapods. Now again, just like some of the other foods that I've mentioned on this list, they're a great source of enrichment. It's going to add an extra level of food to your reef tank's diet because it's going to be mimicking some of the feeding behaviors that they would experience out in the wild. All right, moving on through my list is crabs. Now, this isn't going to benefit every single fish in your tank and probably is not going to be something that you feed your reef tank. However, if you have a fowler tank and you've got fish like pufferfish and triggerfish, they are going to benefit from having something with a hard shell to chomp through. A lot of times they have teeth that need to be filed down over time, and offering them crabs with those hard shells or even hermit crabs with those shells intact offers a great way to do that without you having to worry about trimming down their teeth. So consider getting some live crabs to offer your pufferfish or even those triggers. Now, another species that you might be wanting to feed out are chocolate chip starfish. Now you might be wondering, well, why would you want chocolate chip starfish? Well, if you have already introduced harlequin shrimp to your tank as a method of controlling some invasive starfish populations in your tank, well, if they're extra productive, they're going to wipe out all of those pesky starfish, and you still want to keep them alive because those harlequins are really cool. Well, you can go ahead and offer them a chocolate chip starfish. You can purchase them at a lot of your local fish stores and online, so consider that as a way to prolong their lifespan in your tank. All right, glass shrimp is another option that you can use when it comes to live food. Now, the first species that comes to mind right off the top of my head that you would use these shrimp to feed are cuttlefish. Now, I know not everybody as a home hobbyist has cuttlefish, but you can also use them to feed other fish like anglerfish or some of those picky fish that really do want live foods swimming around right in front of them. So consider using glass shrimp as a fun method of enrichment for some of your predators that you might be keeping in your tank. Along the same lines as those shrimp are feeder fish. I know a lot of some of those anglerfish and those frogfish are really picky. They're not going to eat any prepared foods, and sometimes, unfortunately, the only thing that you can offer them are live fish. So that's another option. Now, the next item on my list is macroalgae. You might be thinking, well, why would you want to have macroalgae? I've heard of these gorgeous tanks that are set up, but will you be feeding it? Well, a lot of the cleanup crew and some of the invertebrates in your tank will actually benefit from having some of that algae in their diet. If you think about it, they're already cruising through your reef tank, helping to keep it clean and eating bits of algae. So offering them a little bit of variety and color is going to be something that they're going to be appreciating. All right, the last live food on my list is Phto. Now this is one of those foods that I've got on there because some of the first foods, like those Aremia and those Rotifers and even the Copapods, are gonna benefit from having some of those live phytoplankton cultures in the tank for them to feed on. It's not 100% necessary, but if you're really getting serious into keeping a reef tank, it's definitely something that you might want to consider. Now, a lot of these different options are available on SaltwaterAquarium.com, but if there's something that I've mentioned that you can't find or you need help locating, please send us a message. We would absolutely love to help you find some of these live foods to help enrich the diet in your reef tank. All right, if you haven't already considered feeding live foods, maybe this video has given you some other options to feed your tank. I really hope that you've enjoyed it and that you consider purchasing some for the future. All right, this has been Hilary for Waterlogged on behalf of SaltwaterAquarium.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.